The darkness of space held secrets, and Commander Vex was about to uncover one that would shake the foundations of the Kaltar Empire. His patrol fleet drifted through the border region, 3 warships moving in perfect formation. For 10,000 years, the Kaltar had ruled this section of the galaxy. Every species they encountered either joined the Empire willingly or was conquered. It was the natural order of things. "Commander, we're detecting an unusual energy signature," reported Lieutenant Marr from the scanning station. "Bearing 273, distance approximately 40,000 kilometers. Vex leaned forward in his command chair. "Classification? Unknown, sir. The signature is faint, but consistent. It appears to be coming from the asteroid field ahead." The commander studied the holographic display. The asteroid field marked the edge of human territory. Humanity, the latest species to join the galactic community. They had been discovered 50 years ago, a young civilization with primitive fusion drives and basic energy weapons. Harmless, useful for labor and resources, but no threat to anyone. "Take us in slowly," Vex ordered. "Maintain battle formation. It's probably just a mining station or some forgotten human outpost." The 3 Kaltar cruisers advanced into the asteroid field. Each ship bristled with plasma cannons and missile ports. Each could reduce a planet's surface to molten glass. Together, they represented enough firepower to conquer a dozen primitive worlds. Mars' instruments chirped urgently. "Sir, I'm getting strange readings. The energy signature is stronger now, but it's too large, too large." Vex rose from his seat. "Explain." "The source appears to be inside that asteroid cluster ahead, but the readings suggest something massive. At least 3 times the size of our cruisers combined." Vex felt a flicker of unease. "Life signs?" "Negative. No power emissions, no active systems. It reads as completely dormant." "Probably an old generation ship," Vex said, though his tone lacked confidence. The humans were building colony vessels before they had proper navigation. Many were abandoned. As they approached, the asteroid cluster filled the view screen. Dozens of massive rocks tumbled slowly in the void, their surfaces pitted and ancient. But now that they were closer, Vex could see something else: geometric patterns among the rocks. Straight lines where nature made curves. "That's not natural," whispered Marr. Before Vex could respond, the entire asteroid cluster, lit up dot lights, blazed across the surface of what they had thought were rocks. The geometric patterns revealed themselves as docking ports, sensor arrays, and weapon emplacements. The individual asteroids weren't separate at all. They were panels, armor plating disguised as natural debris. "Battle stations," Vex shouted. "All ships, raise shields, and charge weapons." The asteroid shell began to crack apart. Huge sections split away, revealing the structure beneath. It was a ship, but calling it a ship seemed inadequate. It was a fortress, a mobile battle station, a weapon of war unlike anything in Kaltar records. The vessel emerged slowly, deliberately, as if waking from a long sleep. Its hull was dark gray, almost black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The design was sleek and brutal, with none of the decorative elements common in Kaltar architecture. This was built for one purpose only. "Size estimate," Vex barked. 15 kilometers long, Commander. "Mass readings are. They're impossible. The density suggests armor plating at least 50 meters thick. 15 kilometers. Vex's largest cruiser measured barely 4 kilometers from bow to stern. A transmission crackled across all frequencies. The voice was calm, speaking perfect Kaltar language without accent or hesitation. "You have entered restricted space. Withdraw immediately." Vex's training warred with his pride. The Kaltar Empire did not retreat from primitives. "This is Commander Vex of the Kaltar Imperial Fleet. You will identify yourself and power down your vessel. Failure to comply will result in your destruction. Silence answered him. Then, across the massive ship's hull, weapon ports began to open. Hundreds of them, perhaps thousands. Energy readings spiked across Vex's instruments. "Sir, they're powering weapons," Mar reported, his voice tight. "Energy signatures match nothing in our database. I can't predict their capabilities." "Fire a warning shot," Vex ordered. "Target their forward section. Low power. Show them we mean business." The lead cruiser's main plasma cannon discharged. A bolt of superheated matter streaked across the void, bright enough to leave afterimages. It struck the human ship's shields and vanished. The energy simply disappeared, absorbed so completely that not even a ripple disturbed the barrier protecting the vessel. The shields themselves were invisible until struck, then they flared for just an instant before returning to transparency. "Direct hit, sir," Mar reported. "No damage." Their shields absorbed the entire blast without measurable drain. Our weapon had no effect whatsoever. Vex felt ice forming in his stomach. That wasn't possible. Their plasma cannons could punch through any known shielding with a single sustained burst. But this barrier had absorbed it like a sponge, soaking up water. The human ship moved, something that massive shouldn't have been able to maneuver. The laws of physics said it should lumber through space like a moon-changing orbit. Instead, it pivoted with the grace of a fighter craft, bringing its broadside to bear on all three Coulter cruisers simultaneously. Target locks appeared on Vex's tactical display. One, then two, then dozens, then hundreds. Every critical system on all three of his ships was being targeted at once. Engines, weapons, shields, life support, bridge, reactor cores, everything that mattered. Asterisk, evasive maneuvers. Vex shouted, but he knew it was pointless. If the human ship could track them that precisely, it could hit them just as easily. But the human ship didn't fire. It simply held them in its sights, the message clear: "We could destroy you right now if we chose." "Commander," Mar said quietly. Their targeting systems locked onto all three ships in 1.3 seconds. Our best systems need at least 8 seconds to achieve that many simultaneous locks. And their tracking compensators are following our evasive patterns perfectly. Vex's mouth was dry. In his 3 decades of service, he had never retreated from an enemy. The Coulter didn't retreat. But he was looking at a ship that shouldn't exist, operated by a species that was supposed to be primitive. "All ships," he said slowly, "withdraw to safe distance. Maintain defensive formation." The 3 Coulter cruisers turned and accelerated away from the human vessel. Vex kept his eyes on the display, expecting at any moment to see weapons discharge. But the human ship simply watched them go. When they had retreated 50,000 kilometers, the targeting locks disappeared. The massive vessel slowly rotated back toward the asteroid field. Within minutes, the armor panels began closing around it again, camouflaging it once more as an innocent cluster of space rocks dot back at Outpost 7. Vex filed his report in person with Sector Governor Tau. The older Coulter listened without interrupting, his face growing darker as the story unfolded. "Impossible," Tal said when Vex finished. "The humans have fusion drives that barely reach half light speed. Their weapons are plasma-based, crude, and inefficient. Their shields fail under sustained fire. We have detailed intelligence on their capabilities." "Then our intelligence is wrong, Governor." Vex brought up the sensor logs on the holographic display. "These readings don't lie. That ship outclasses anything in our fleet." Tal waved dismissively. "Sensor malfunction. Or perhaps some kind of illusion. A trick to make us believe they're stronger than they are. The humans are clever with their computers. This is deception, not capability." "Sir, I respectfully disagree." "Your disagreement is noted and dismissed, Commander. You encountered one ship that used clever tricks to frighten you. Return to patrol duties and stop spreading panic. Vex wanted to argue, but he knew it was useless. He saluted and left the governor's office, frustration burning in his chest. He had seen that ship. He had felt the cold certainty of death when those targeting locks appeared. That was no trick. Aboard the human vessel, Captain Reed stood in the bridge, watching the Coulter ships retreat on his displays. Around him, his crew remained silent, the tension slowly draining from the compartment. "Stand down from battle stations," Reed said quietly. "Maintain stealth protocols. Resume dormant status." "Sir," his tactical officer said, "they'll report what they saw." "I know." Reed rubbed his eyes. He looked older than his 50 years, gray-haired and tired. "Get me a secure line to Earth Command. Priority Alpha." While the communication was established, Reed walked to the forward viewport. The stars looked the same as they always had, cold, distant, indifferent. But everything had changed. 50 years ago, when humanity first met the Coulter, it had been a momentous occasion. First contact with an advanced alien civilization. The Coulter had been polite, even friendly. But humanity's diplomats had seen the truth behind the smiles. They saw how the Coulter looked at humans the way adult looks at children. Amusing, useful, inferior. Earth's leaders understood immediately. The galaxy was not empty. It was already claimed. And humanity was weak-got, so they made a choice. They would appear to accept their place as newcomers, as the junior species in galactic society. They would trade, learn, and integrate slowly into the Empire. But secretly, they would prepare. "No, sir." "Not yet." Another pause. "Captain, we weren't ready for this. Defender was supposed to remain hidden for another decade minimum. We have 12 more ships under construction, but none are operational. If the Coulter press us now, then we bluff," Reed said simply. "We make them think we have more ships like Defender. We make them afraid to find out how many more. And if they call our bluff," Reed looked out at the stars, "then we make them regret it." Halfway across the galaxy, in the gleaming capital world of the Coulter Empire, Admiral Kron studied Commander Vex's report for the 5th time. Around him, the Imperial Council chamber buzzed with dismissive chatter. "Sensor malfunction," one counselor declared. "Human trickery," another agreed. But Kron had fought in the last Great War, 3,000 years ago. He had seen what happened when the Empire underestimated an enemy. He recognized the signs of a species preparing for conflict, the deception, the hidden installations, the sudden revelation of unexpected capabilities. He rose from his seat, his age-bent form still commanding respect. "I propose we launch a full investigation into human space. Deep scans of every system. Intelligence operatives on every world. We need to know what else they're hiding." "One ship," Governor Tall scoffed. "You want to waste resources investigating one ship?" Kron fixed him with a hard stare. "I want to know what else is hidden before we find ourselves at war with an enemy we don't understand. The humans have been deceiving us for 50 years. What else have they built while we weren't looking?" The council chamber fell silent. "Find out what they're hiding," Kron ordered the intelligence chief. "Find it before it's too late." The Coulter intelligence vessel drifted silently through human space, its stealth systems making it nearly invisible to conventional sensors. Captain Reed had known they would come. He just hadn't expected them so soon. "Contact bearing 185, reported his sensor officer aboard the Defender. "Coulter signature, military grade, attempting to remain hidden." Reed nodded slowly. "How many does that make?" 17 in the past 2 weeks, sir. They're scanning every major human installation within 50 light years of our position." "Let them look," Reed said. "They won't find what they're searching for." But even as he spoke, Reed felt the weight of their situation pressing down on him. The Kalter were hunting for more ships like Defender. They were terrified and angry, a dangerous combination. And humanity had nothing to show them except outdated cruisers and empty bluffs. On Earth, in a secured bunker beneath the Atlantic Ocean, Admiral Chun stood before a holographic star map. Red markers indicated counterintelligence activities. There were dozens of them now, spreading like infection through human territory. "They're everywhere," said General Park, Earth's military commander. "Every shipyard, every research station, every colony world. They're looking for a fleet that doesn't exist." "Then we need to make them believe it exists anyway," Chun replied. "How?" "We can't hide construction on this scale. The 12 ships we're building won't be ready for years, and even our best efforts can't conceal orbital shipyards from Kalter sensors." Chun zoomed the display to show several remote star systems. "We don't hide construction. We hide evidence of completed ships. Old engine signatures detected briefly and disappearing. Encrypted communications between non-existent vessels. Supply runs to empty sectors. We make them see ghosts." Park frowned. "Military deception on an interstellar scale. It might buy us time, but eventually they'll realize we're lying. What happens then?" "Then we hope our actual construction is far enough along to matter." Across human space, the deception began. Automated drones transmitted false engine signatures before vanishing into empty space. Civilian ships broadcast military-grade encrypted signals that went nowhere. Supply convoys made unnecessary trips to uninhabited systems. Each piece of evidence was small, easily dismissed on its own. But together, they painted a picture of a hidden fleet. The Kalter took the bait. In the Imperial Intelligence Headquarters on the Kalter homeworld, analysts pored over data streams. Commander Vex had been reassigned to the investigation. His experience with the human ship deemed valuable, despite his overreaction to the encounter. "Another engine signature, sir," reported an analyst. "Delta sector, near the human mining colonies. Signature matches the vessel you encountered." Vex studied the data. The signature had appeared for exactly 47 seconds before vanishing. "Show me gravitational distortions in that area." The analyst overlaid gravitic sensor readings. There was a slight anomaly, consistent with a large mass briefly engaging faster-than-light drives. It could be the same ship moving between locations, or ... or another ship, Vex finished. "Add it to the map." The holographic display showed human space with red markers indicating possible contacts. There were 9 now. 9 potential warships, like the one Vex had encountered. If each one was as powerful as the Defender. "Sir, we're also detecting unusual supply movements," another analyst reported. "Civilian freighters carrying military-grade reactor components to 3 different uninhabited systems. They arrive, offload, and depart. But there are no stations in those systems. No colonies. Nothing. They're supplying ships we can't see," Vex said quietly. "Ships hiding in deep space, waiting." Admiral Kron entered the intelligence center, his ancient eyes sharp. "Show me everything." Vex presented their findings. The engine signatures. The supply runs. The encrypted communications. The gravitational anomalies. Each piece of evidence was circumstantial, but the pattern was clear. "How many ships?" Kron asked. "We've detected 9 possible contacts, Admiral. But if their stealth capabilities match what Commander Vex observed, there could be more we haven't found yet." Kron was silent for a long moment. 50 years, he finally said. "They've been building for 50 years, while we believed them to be harmless. How many ships could they have constructed in that time?" No one answered. The possibilities were terrifying. "I want a full military assessment," Kron ordered. "Assume they have at least 20 ships with capabilities matching the Defender. What would that mean for Imperial security?" The war games began immediately. Counter strategists ran simulation after simulation, each one showing the same disturbing results. 20 human warships with advanced shields and weapons could hold off a counter battle group. They couldn't win against the full Imperial fleet, but they could make conquest impossibly expensive. And if humanity had more than 20 ships ... the simulations showed scenarios where human forces could actually threaten counter territory. It seemed impossible. But 50 years ago, humanity building even one advanced warship had seemed impossible too. On the counter homeworld, the Imperial Council convened in emergency session. The mood was grim. "We should strike now," declared War Minister Dax, "before they finish whatever they're building. Overwhelming force. Crush their shipyards and research stations. Make them submit. And if they have 30 ships like the Defender hidden throughout their territory?" asked Kron. "How many vessels would we lose? How many worlds would they strike while our fleet is engaged?" "You're afraid of primitives," Dax sneered. "I'm cautious of an enemy who spent 50 years deceiving us successfully. That requires intelligence, patience, and long-term strategic thinking. Those are the qualities of a dangerous opponent." Governor Tal stood. "Perhaps we've been approaching this incorrectly. We assume hostility, but the humans have never attacked us. They revealed their ship only when we entered their restricted space. Maybe they simply want to be left alone." "Asterisk, irrelevant," Dax snapped. "The Empire does not tolerate equals, only subjects. We cannot allow a species to possess military power comparable to our own. It sets a precedent. Then what do you propose?" asked Counselor Rim. "We cannot conquer them without knowing the full extent of their capabilities. We cannot ignore them because they represent a potential threat. We cannot negotiate because our pride forbids treating them as equals." The chamber fell into troubled silence. The Kaltur Empire had never faced this situation before. Every previous species had been clearly weaker or clearly stronger. Humanity existed in a dangerous middle ground, strong enough to be threatening, but possibly too strong to defeat easily. "I propose a different approach," Kron said finally. "We test them. Send a fleet to their border, not to attack, but to observe. See how they respond. If they mass their forces to defend, we'll see how many ships they truly have. If they show weakness, we'll know their strength was exaggerated. And if they attack our fleet?" Rim asked. "Then we'll have our answer about their intentions, won't we?" The council debated for hours, but ultimately approved Kron's plan. A battle group of 12 cruisers would approach the human border in a show of force. Not an invasion, not yet. Just a demonstration that the Kaltur Empire was watching. Asterisk. News of the approaching fleet reached Earth Command within days. In the secure bunker, Admiral Chun watched the Kaltur force's trajectory with growing concern. 12 cruisers, General Park said. "That's a planetary conquest force. They're not playing games anymore." "Neither can we," Chun replied. She activated the communication system. "Get me Captain Red and authorization codes for the reserve protocols." Reed received the message aboard the Defender, still hidden in the asteroid field. The orders were clear. Move to intercept the Kaltur fleet. Show force. Make them believe humanity possessed the power to fight back. "Sir," his tactical officer said carefully, "we're one ship. They're sending 12. I know." Reed studied the star charts. "But they don't know we're just one ship. They think we're part of a hidden fleet. We need to maintain that illusion." "How?" Reed pointed to several locations on the map. "We move fast. Appear here, then here, then here. Each time, we let them detect us briefly before vanishing. We make." It seemed like multiple ships are converging on their position. "We'd have to push the gravitic drives beyond safety limits to move that fast." "I know. Get engineering on it." We have 4 days before they reach our border. Across human space, other preparations began. The 12 incomplete warships under construction were activated prematurely. They couldn't fight, their weapons weren't installed, their shields barely functional. But they could power up. They could generate the energy signatures of active warships. Civilian vessels were retrofitted with military-grade sensors and communication arrays. Orbital stations activated defensive systems that had never been tested. Colony worlds organized evacuation plans. Everyone knew the stakes. If the Kalter saw through the deception, if they realized humanity's weakness, invasion would follow. Captain Reed pushed the Defender hard. The gravitic drives whined in protest as the massive ship jumped from location to location, each appearance carefully timed to create the illusion of multiple vessels. The strain on the systems was enormous. Warning lights blazed across engineering displays. Hull stress at 70% maximum, reported the chief engineer. Another jump like that, and we'll start seeing structural failures. One more, Reed said. Just one more, and we can hold position. The Defender made its final jump, appearing directly in the path of the approaching Kalter fleet. The massive warship materialized from faster-than-light transit like a predator stepping from shadow. Its weapons were powered, but not targeting. Not yet. Aboard the lead Kalter cruiser, Commander Vex stared at his displays in recognition and dread. That's the ship. The Defender. Admiral Kron, commanding the battle group from the flagship, studied the human vessel. Scan it. Full spectrum analysis. I want to know everything. Sir, I'm detecting multiple other contacts, the sensor officer reported. Human signatures appearing throughout the region. I count at least 6 other vessels, possibly more. They're using some kind of stealth system. I can't maintain locks. Kron felt a chill. 6 ships, maybe more. And if each was as powerful as the Defender, his battle group was outnumbered and outgunned. Positions? Surrounding us, sir. We're boxed in. It was a perfect tactical situation for the humans. Kron's ships were caught in a kill zone. Multiple enemy vessels positioned for overlapping fields of fire. If the humans opened fire now, the battle would be over in minutes. But they didn't fire. Instead, a transmission came through on all frequencies. Captain Reed's voice, calm and professional. Kalter Fleet, you are approaching restricted human space. You have 2 options. Withdraw peacefully or discover why you should have withdrawn. Kron studied the tactical display. His pride demanded he press forward. His experience demanded he survive to report what he'd learned. How many ships do they have? At least 7, sir. Possibly as many as 10. The stealth systems are too effective for accurate counting. 7 to 10 ships. Against his 12 cruisers. The math seemed favorable, but Kron remembered Commander Vex's report. 1 human ship had effortlessly held 3 Kalter cruisers at bay. How would 12 cruisers fare against 7 human warships? The answer came to him with cold certainty. They would lose. Maybe not quickly, but eventually the superior human shields and weapons would tip the balance. And even if the Kalter won, the losses would be catastrophic. Open a channel to the human vessel, Kron ordered. Admiral Dax began from the fleet command, his voice coming over the communication system. The war game is over, War Minister. We've learned what we needed to know. Kron addressed the communication pickup. Human vessel Defender, this is Admiral Kron of the Kalter Imperial Fleet. We acknowledge your boundaries. We are withdrawing. Acknowledged, Admiral, Reed replied. Safe travels. The Kalter fleet turned slowly, beginning their retreat. As they pulled away, their sensors tracked the human ships shadowing them, ensuring they left human space completely. Aboard the Defender, Reed watched them go. His hands were shaking. Around him, his crew released breaths they didn't know they'd been holding. Stealth drones returned to base, Reed ordered quietly. Engineering, shut down the false signature generators. Medical, I need stimulants. Lots of them. We have to maintain this position for another 6 hours until those Calter ships are out of sensor range. His tactical officer looked confused. Sir? False signature generators? Reed smiled tiredly. We weren't being shadowed by 6 other ships, Lieutenant. We were being shadowed by 6 automated drones broadcasting false engine signatures. The Calter saw what we wanted them to see. But Admiral Cron specifically said 7 to 10 ships. And I didn't correct him. Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake in your favor. The tactical officer's eyes widened. We bluffed. We bluffed an entire Calter battle group. We did indeed. Reed settled into his command chair. Now let's hope they never figure that out. Admiral Cron's report to the Imperial Council was sobering. 7 to 10 confirmed human warships, possibly more hidden throughout their territory, all with technology superior to Calter standards. A direct assault on human space would cost hundreds of ships and thousands of lives. The council chamber erupted in argument. War Minister Dax demanded immediate invasion despite the cost. Governor Tall suggested negotiation. Others proposed economic. Sanctions, blockades, or simply waiting for humanity to reveal their full strength. Admiral Cron listened to them all, then spoke quietly. The humans have done something remarkable. They hid their strength for 50 years, revealed it only when discovered, and now they've demonstrated they can defend their territory. They haven't attacked us. They've only defended themselves. Perhaps the question isn't how to conquer them, but whether we should try at all. Unacceptable, Dax snarled. The Empire does not accept equals. Then perhaps, Cron said softly, it's time the Empire learned to. The council meeting ended without resolution. The Calter Empire had discovered something they'd never encountered before. An enemy they feared. Not because humanity was stronger. The Empire still possessed more ships, more resources, more territory. But because humanity was unknown. Their true capabilities remained hidden. Their technology was advancing in secret. Their strategic thinking had already proven superior to Calter intelligence estimates. Fear is a powerful weapon, and humanity had just weaponized it perfectly. On Earth, Admiral Chun received Reed's full report. The relief in the command center was palpable. They'd bought time, maybe months, maybe years. Time to complete the real fleet. Time to advance their technology further. Time to prepare for the war that still might come. But she also knew this wasn't over. The Calter wouldn't stay frightened forever. Eventually, courage or desperation would overcome their fear. When that happened, humanity's bluff would be called. The question was whether humanity would be ready with more than just tricks and deception. 3 months passed since the standoff at the border. 3 months of uneasy peace. 3 months where both sides prepared for what might come next. Aboard the Defender, Captain Reed reviewed daily intelligence reports with growing concern. The Calter fleet movements had changed. They were no longer probing human space with small reconnaissance vessels. Instead, they were consolidating their forces, pulling ships from across their empire and massing them near the border. There, preparing for something big, his intelligence officer said. We estimate at least 80 cruisers in the region now, with more arriving every week. Reed rubbed his tired eyes. 80 ships. Against 1 real warship and a dozen incomplete vessels that could barely power their engines. The bluff that had worked so perfectly 3 months ago was about to collapse. Any word from Earth Command on the construction schedule? Still another year minimum before the first new ship is operational, sir. They're pushing as hard as they can, but advanced technology takes time. Time, always time. Humanity needed more of it, but the Calter were running out of patience. On the Calter homeworld, Admiral Cron stood before a detailed holographic projection of human space. Beside him, War Minister Dax studied the same display with hungry eyes. "Your caution has cost us 3 months," Dax said. 3 months where the humans have undoubtedly built more ships. Every day we wait makes them stronger. Perhaps, Kron replied. Or perhaps they were already strong, and we've simply given them time to position their forces more effectively. I don't believe they have as many ships as they claimed. I think they tricked us. Kron looked at the younger officer. That's a dangerous assumption to base an invasion on. Then let's find out the truth. Dax activated a different section of the display. I've developed a strategy. We don't invade their core systems. We target outlying colonies, small, lightly defended worlds. If they truly have a large fleet, they'll defend these colonies. If they don't, they'll be forced to choose which worlds to protect and which to abandon. Either way, we'll see their real strength. Kron studied the plan silently. It was clever. Ruthless, but clever. You're proposing we attack civilians to draw out their military. I'm proposing we test their defenses intelligently instead of launching blind assaults on fortified positions. This way, we learn the truth with minimal risk to our own forces. The Imperial Council approved the strategy over Kron's objections. Within days, Kalter task forces began moving toward 3 isolated human colonies, farming worlds with populations in the hundreds of thousands. Worlds that would be difficult to defend and impossible to ignore. The warnings reached Earth Command with terrifying speed. Admiral Chun watched the Kalter fleets approaching 3 separate colonies and knew immediately what was happening. "They're forcing our hand," General Park said. "If we don't defend those worlds, millions of civilians die. If we do defend them, we reveal how few ships we actually have." Chun pulled up tactical displays of each target system. "How long until the Kalter arrive?" 72 hours for the nearest colony. 90 hours for the others. Can we evacuate? Not in time. Each world has over 200,000 people. We'd need hundreds of transport ships and several weeks. We have neither. Chun felt the weight of command crushing down on her. 3 worlds. 600,000 civilians. And only 1 warship capable of defending them. "Get me Captain Reed." Reed received the orders in his ready room. "Defend 3 colonies simultaneously. Stop 3 Kalter task forces, each consisting of 10 to 15 cruisers. Do it alone, because there were no other ships to send." He sat in silence for a long moment, the impossibility of the task settling over him like a shroud. Then he stood and walked to the bridge. His crew looked at him expectantly, seeing the grim determination in his face. "Set course for the nearest colony. Maximum speed. We have 72 hours to save 3 worlds with 1 ship." "Sir," his tactical officer said carefully, "that's mathematically impossible." "I know." Reed settled into his command chair. "So we'll need to be creative. Pull up everything we know about Kalter fleet tactics. I want to exploit every weakness, every predictable pattern, every standard procedure. If we're going to pull off a miracle, we need to understand our enemy perfectly." The Defender raced through space at speeds that stressed its gravitic drives to the breaking point. Behind them, Earth Command scrambled to organize whatever help they could provide. The 12 incomplete warships were being rushed to operational status. Civilian vessels were being armed with whatever weapons could be installed quickly. Colony defense forces were being mobilized, but everyone knew the truth. If the Defender failed, those colonies were doomed. Reed and his officers worked around the clock, developing a strategy that seemed impossible even as they planned it. The key was timing, misdirection, and making the Kalter believe they faced a larger force than actually existed. "The Kalter fleet formations are predictable," Reed explained to his bridge crew. "They use standard Imperial Battle Doctrine 3 cruisers, advance as scouts. Main force follows in a defensive globe formation. Reserves stay back. It's efficient but inflexible. How does that help us, sir? Because they'll expect us to follow conventional tactics too. Mass our forces at the most defensible position, establish a battle line, engage their advanced scouts, then fall back before their main force. Standard defensive strategy. Isn't that exactly what we should do? Reed smiled grimly. That's what they expect. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to attack. The first Kaltur task force entered the colony system right on schedule. 15 cruisers, advancing in perfect formation toward the agricultural world below. Their commander, Captain Rix, was confident. Human defenders would cluster near the planet, trying to protect the civilian population. His forces would overwhelm them through superior numbers. Then his sensors detected something impossible. The human warship Defender was accelerating toward his fleet at attack speed. They're charging us? Rix said in disbelief. One ship against 15? Contact confirmed, sir. It's definitely the Defender. Energy signatures match previous encounters. Where are their other ships? No other contacts, sir. Just the one vessel. Rix frowned. This violated every tactical principle. A single Defender couldn't possibly expect to stop his entire task force. Unless it's a trap. They have ships hiding somewhere, waiting to ambush us. Maintain defensive formation. Charge weapons. Be ready for multiple contacts. But the ambush never came. The Defender simply accelerated straight at them, its shields blazing with power, its weapons hot and ready. Reed stood on his bridge, watching the Kaltur fleet grow larger on the displays. All power to forward shields. Target their command ship. We're going to punch straight through their formation. Sir, that's suicide. Trust me. Reed's hands gripped his command chair. Fire on my mark. Full weapons release. The Defender opened fire at maximum range. Energy beams and missile volleys tore across space toward the Kaltur fleet. The lead cruiser's shields flared and collapsed under the concentrated assault. The ship broke apart, venting atmosphere and debris. They destroyed the commander's ship. Rix's second-in-command shouted from the backup vessel. All ships returned fire. 14 Kaltur cruisers unleashed their weapons simultaneously. The firepower was enormous, enough to vaporize any normal ship. But the Defender's shields held. They flickered under the barrage, energy readings spiking dangerously high, but they held dot, and then the Defender vanished. One moment it was there, shields blazing as it absorbed fire from 14 ships. The next moment, it simply disappeared, its gravitic drives engaging faster-than-light transit inside a combat zone, a maneuver considered impossible by every tactical manual in the galaxy. Where did it go? Rix demanded. Unknown, sir. The gravitic disruption is too severe to track. The Defender reappeared at the edge of the Kaltur formation and destroyed 2 more cruisers before they could react. Then it vanished again. It's using hit-and-run tactics. Rix realized. Appearing, striking, and jumping away before we can concentrate fire. But that should be impossible. The energy requirements alone. The Defender appeared again, this time behind their formation. Another cruiser died. The human ship jumped away before the Kaltur could respond. Reed watched his engineering displays with concern. Each jump inside a gravity will put enormous strain on the drives. The chief engineer had warned they could manage maybe 6 or 7 such jumps before system failure. They just completed 4. Status of the Kaltur fleet? 4 ships destroyed, sir. 11 remaining, but they're confused. Their formation is breaking apart as individual captains try to predict where will appear next. Good. 1 more jump. Then we're done here. The Defender appeared directly above the remaining Kaltur ships and launched every missile in its forward batteries, full volley designed for planetary bombardment. The missiles scattered across the Kaltur formation, each one finding a target. 7 more cruisers took critical damage. 2 were destroyed outright. 5 were crippled, but still operational. Then the defenders' drives gave a warning alarm that Reed had been dreading. "Sir, gravitic systems are failing. We can't jump again." "We don't need to." Reed pointed at the remaining Kelter ships. "Look at them." The 4 intact Kelter cruisers were retreating. The human ship had destroyed or crippled 11 vessels in less than 10 minutes. Rix, watching from a badly damaged cruiser, made the only logical decision. He ordered a full withdrawal. Reed slumped in his chair as the Kelter fleet limped away. 1 down, 2 to go. "Chief Engineer, how long until we can jump again?" 12 hours minimum, sir. "We burned through safeties that I don't even know how to repair yet." Reed checked the chronometer. The second Kelter task force would reach its target colony in 18 hours. The third would arrive 6 hours after that. "We have time. Barely. Get those drives operational." "I don't care what you have to do." The news of the first battle spread quickly through both human and Kelter space. 1 human warship had defeated a task force of 15 cruisers. The victory seemed impossible, yet the sensor logs didn't lie. Asterisk.